What is going on, everyone? My name's Boit, and I'm back with some more Age of Mythology. The Titans action spawning in the top of the map. In the blue color, playing as Zeus. His name is Eric, and he is from Brazil, and he is the first Brazilian to be named Eric in Age of Mythology. You can tell that because it's Ericbr the first. His opponent today in the red color, playing as Poseidon, Mr. Clean himself. His name is Squash. This is a game that is sure to have some fireworks in it. Anytime Squash plays 1v1, I always get excited because he is a man after my own heart. He is a man of sheer will, integrity, and just pure efficiency. And I don't think I've ever seen him have a poor performance in a game. Anytime he wins, anytime he loses, it's going to be a fantastic game, and you're going to learn something from it. That is for sure. Onwards and upwards, we have a Zeus versus Poseidon matchup on Tundra. Lots of opportunities for Zeus to get advantages in this matchup. A lot of players believe, well, this is kind of how the matchup normally goes. Zeus gets the initial early game advantage because of Centaur and because of the extra favor that Zeus starts with. So Zeus can kind of pummel through the Poseidon player a little bit and force them to be back in defensive. However, the problem with that advantage is that the economic advantage of going for a second town center can sometimes, and most of the time, benefit the two town center player, the Poseidon player, in a lot of times. So the Zeus player needs to figure out a way in which they can nullify that advantage. So whether that be to get multiple villager kills with Centaur, or if it's going to be to find an advantage elsewhere. So that's what happens at the start of the game. And then if the Poseidon player doesn't find themselves taking too much damage from Centaur, then they can go to the Heroic Age, and they get such a huge Heroic Age boost in the form of Atlanta, in the form of Anemian Lions, in the form of Curse, and things can be really, really tough for a Zeus player in those situations here, as we almost saw a little bit of unfortunate pathfinding there from the Orc, but Squash deals with it nicely. So once Aphrodite comes in, things get really tough for the Zeus player. However, there is still options for the Zeus player to find sneaky advantages with Apollo, with Hera. Lots of different options to play here. So if we take a quick look at the map and we make some quick assessments here. Gold mine situation for Squash. Second gold mine situation. Gold mine, gold mine, gold mine, gold mine, gold mine. They're all spread around the map. So it's going to be really, really tough for Squash to actually get a second gold mine if Eric wants to go for an all-in of some sort, being like pure Centaur semi-fast mythic into Hera with a lightning storm hitting at around like 12-13 minute mark when your opponent goes for the second gold mine with like Bellerophon, a whole bunch of hoplites, something like this, maybe Hippocon Prodromus or something with all the upgrades. Could be an option for him to go for. Plenty of ideas where that's concerned for Eric. So we'll see what he's going to go for here, as Hermes is on the way. Squash, on the other hand, also going through Hermes. He's got 7 villages on wood, 5 villages on gold. Moving over... Wait, where's the rest of his villages? Am I missing something? Maybe not. Just 4 villages on food. Trying to find his way to a second town center. It's going to make a lot of sense. He's got good Auroch over here. He's got a stray caribou over here that he's going to want. No walls getting thrown up early by Squash just yet. So we'll see how it's all going to go. As the villager comes over here onto this gold mine, he's going to be able to get those upgrades very, very fast here. We already see Squash moving his villagers up onto this location here. I wouldn't actually be surprised. This kind of feels a little bit like Squash is going to skip his up. What's he doing? He's going for the forward town center. This is risky. This is really risky. Let's see what Eric's going to try and do here. Eric is getting his upgrades. He's got villagers on favor. He's getting Centaur, or not upgrades, his heroes. Going to move straight forward. He sees the Catoscopos sees the villagers getting this town center as I accidentally hit play fast there. But there is already a Theseus out. The town center is up. The relic is getting grabbed here by Squash. Bolt getting dropped there onto the Theseus to try and deny this one. We do see a cheeky, a little bit of amount of damage coming through there, but the Theseus comes in to hit this one. We've got the Centaur getting pulled back. The village is going to get targeted down really, really nicely here. Squash hasn't gotten any of his heroes out just yet, so the pressure is going to be mounting. More Centaur coming in onto this position. We've got the Odysseus coming in now for Eric right now. Is already going to be targeting down that Centaur. The Centaur going to get picked off very, very fast here as the village is going to continue to get that town center up, but the Centaur might be able to deny this one here as we see the villagers getting pulled off here. They're all very, very low HP as now the heroes coming through for Squash. They're going to be able to take down these Centaur very fast. The Odysseus slinging those arrows as best as he can, but the Centaur, one goes down. The town center looks like it has been somewhat denied here, but now the heroes have to fight each other and the village is going to return back over here. Squash somehow, some way manages to defend this one with only one villager kill and a bunch of low HP villagers here. The micro there from Squash, impeccable, minimal, min-max defending that town center in the greatest sense of the word. And Squash is completely fine now to continue. He's throwing up his stables and throwing up walls over here. I mean, he doesn't realize that this is blocked off. Oh, dearie me. He doesn't realize this is blocked off. He doesn't need this wall at all, but it is somewhat of a defensive position for his villagers to run to if he needs to, but he definitely wants to get these Aurochs nice and safe. Eric, on the other hand, throwing up his own second town center, just a little bit behind Squash. And if we take a quick count at the damage that's been done by Eric versus what Squash has gained. One villager down. Town center is up maybe a minute faster than Eric, maybe a minute 30 faster than Eric. So Squash is effectively up 3 villagers. So all in all, Squash advantage. He's taken out a centaur or two, one centaur. And Squash has got the villager advantage. So we'll see, can Eric make use of these centaur or not is the big question. Nice micro by Squash, dodging the shot there, and the Apollo also gets another centaur kill. That is absolute nightmare situation for Eric. As we do see some raids now coming through onto this location by the heroes. Nice play by Eric to continue to put the pressure on with multiple different units. But Squash is so fast as somehow, some way, this villager looks like it might get away from here. And you see, that is what makes Squash so good. The decision making is beautiful. He sees that the villager is low HP. He says, all right, I'm going to move my Theseus in. I'm going to attack the Odysseus, slow him down. The snare comes in whenever you hit a unit, so it gets reduced speed. And that villager is going to be left alive. There's so many villagers on this position right now with low HP. And Eric has to figure out what to do next. Right now, he's got more villagers over here, still making the Centaur. He hasn't built any military buildings just yet. Honestly, there's a world where Zeus has an advantage here in that he can opt to just go straight Mythic Age here, whereas the Poseidon kind of needs to make some military units. So we'll see if that's what Eric is going to try and do. Just continue making Centaur and put everything else on food and gold and see what he can do. As we're going to be moving these Centaur back in. There is already the Hippolyta in here. The villager. Oh, he gets the villager. I'm surprised. Thought Squash would have. That's the first kind of misstep that Squash has really done here. But that's completely fine for him. He's lost one more villager, still has the advantage in terms of villager count, I have to assume here. He's not building many military units. He's just got a handful of Hippocon here. He's throwing walls down, and Squash is going to look to get to the Heroic Age as fast as he can. As soon as Squash gets Heroic Age, he can build Atlanta, and his fears of Centaur are going to be put to rest here. Eric can go for a suicidal push through here. The Hippolyta, he knows the Hippolyta was down the bottom side, so running straight past this town center and running in and hitting these villages is actually well worth it. As we're seeing the Centaur, very, very unlikely Centaur losses there, as Theseus manages to pick off one of those, as Eric is really not taking care of his Centaur to the best of his ability. It looks like he's going for a third town center here as well, and he's going to be throwing down some military buildings, going for archery range stable here. as we're going to see this game continue. Some walls coming down on this position for Eric. Definitely something that is of utmost importance. If you've got map control as the Zeus player, take map control. You have to put the walls up early in this matchup. You can't be waiting. I would have actually liked to see these walls going down by Eric maybe a minute or two earlier, because if you can get them all up, and it takes maybe about 3 minutes or so to wall up an entire map with one or two, three villages maybe, you should do it, because then you restrict your opponent's movements and they're not going to be able to hit you with raids in the heroic age or something like that. As now Squash is also 3 town centers, and he's got he's quartered himself off in the corner of this map. He's got a quarter of the map for himself, and he's just going to be booming. This is just going to be booming. He realizes there's no real threat to him. The only threat, and I think it's a real threat, is that Centaur diving onto this location here, and then an Underworld hitting this could be a bit scary. But Eric is producing units. What for is the question? Not sure. He's throwing more walls up, and we'll see how it's all going to go here. But I always think that you have to ask the question when you're producing units, why am I producing units? I think this is true in every single RTS game. If you are making units, why? And I think the reason here for Eric might be to just get a few units on the map in order to make an Underworld play. I would have to assume that's got to be why it is, because he knows he can't push through this town center with Hippocon. Maybe if he had hoplites, he could. He's not going to really be able to push through here. There's a tower up here to defend this location, so it's kind of not going to work. There's no way through the bottom of, or maybe pushing this tower here could be an option, but yeah, I don't really see it. And Eric is going through Apollo, so this does make a lot of sense. Maybe getting himself out the Pegasus and trying to fly over onto this gold mine could be a way forward for him. So we'll see if that's what he's going to be going for as he's producing more and more units here. Maybe hitting a heroic age timing. A little bit of a strange one for Zeus to try here. Nice building block by Squash. This is why I mean when I said it's a bit of a suicide push to just run through here, because Squash is going to make you pay. He's going to get them. He's going to get the building block down. He's going to pick off a center, and Eric loses yet another one of his mythical beasts here in this game. As more walls going to be coming up, we do see this polar bear being very, very annoying over here to Eric. In fact, going to take out that villager. And Eric still hasn't managed to finish these walls off. It's still a little bit slow. So you see this villager coming over here, maybe sending a Hippocon or something over there to deal with that one. Wouldn't go astray as Apollo is hitting. And Squash should be thinking about the next stage fairly soon as well. But the weakness for Squash right now is that he hasn't been able to hunt the entire time. And Eric has. So Eric's only now just starting to drop his farms. So that's really good for Eric. And I imagine, is there a marker going down somewhere? I don't know. I would have imagined Mythic Age here as the best play for Eric, but he's going full population, it seems, with military units. And we'll see how it's going to go. As more walls getting thrown up, we see the Manticore moving in for Eric here as well to see what he can do. This villager over here getting targeted by that polar bear yet again, but we do see the wall seems like it's mostly up here for Eric. What I would love to see is the wall. Like, wait, what can Squash see? So Squash could see a wall coming up here. So maybe a wall from here to here wouldn't go astray, or something like that. Using this army to throw those walls up. I guess that's one reason you could build the army, is to get some aggressive walls in there, as we are seeing a couple of units getting picked off by Squash. And Squash is now going through Aphrodite. He's full villages. He's got decent farms. I would like to see some granaries getting thrown down. When you put a farm this far away from the town center, it's like one tile away. It's worth it to throw the granary down. Again, over here, it's worth it to throw the granary down. You do have some granaries already built over here that you could be using for your farms as well. As we see the Pegasus going to be flying over here, potentially going to be going for that Underworld play, as Eric does have his market up, going to be advancing, going to go through Feist. There's no real surprises here. I think the idea of an Underworld from like maybe like here into this position with Hera is actually really, really good, because I think you can potentially get a gold staff here because you've got the tech advantage. Eric's been advancing faster. He knows that, yes, there's going to be a heroic age potentially Mythic Age incoming for Squash, but you've got maybe a minute advantage here that you could really make a Lightning Storm work on this position. But there is Ceasefire, so you have to consider that as well. But picking off so many units and then getting a tech advantage and then trying to make the push work could work for Eric. But he is deciding to go for the safe route through Hephaestus. He's taking good control of this part of the map. Stable's coming down onto this position over here. Bit of a overzealous wall here with the tower on this position. Maybe he wants to go for this wall, build it back here, and then over here so that Squash isn't really aware of it. Anyways, fortified town centers coming through for Squash in the near future here as well. So he's gonna have plenty of units. He's getting himself all of his upgrades. Medium, heavy raiders coming through, heavy cavalry coming through for Squash as well. As his army is looking mightily strong. Mostly just, I like this, it's mostly just cavalry at this point. So he's not bothering with the Toxotes. I would love to see Squash throw down a fortress or something on this position as well, so he can start making the Heliopoli. As we see, this wall gets denied. I don't think this would have been denied if he made it a little bit safer. Plenty Vault coming down, so a little bit of economic advantage for Eric. He can get himself Forge of Olympus straight away here as well. As the villager getting taken out on this position over here. And now it looks like Eric's just a little bit out of position here. And these, the wall's not being finished is a big deal because these are cavalry. And Squash is going to be able to get some raids in here. And Squash hasn't really scouted the map very well, so he doesn't know where to hit Eric. Eric's villages are relatively well defended with the back gold mine over here being fairly far away, and Squash got no idea that's where a gold mine could be. But he has managed to come onto this gold mine over here to grab this one for just a little bit, but Eric's going to put a stop to that. Plenty Vault gets thrown down in the corner. Colossus over here as well for Squash. Excuse me. And Eric needs to figure out how to prevent Squash from getting to a point at which he's got the advantage. So late game, Poseidon has the advantage. He's got Aphrodite. He's got divine blood from Aphrodite, so his buildings come up faster. He's got a militia as well, and he's got Polyphemus. And Polyphemus is undoubtedly stronger than Bellerophon in the late game, as we're also going to see. Unfortunately, Bellerophon getting taken down pretty quickly here, trying to deal with these cavalry as best as he possibly can. Picking off one there and then falling. That's good value there for Squash. Squash actually sitting on these farms right now. Eric going to be getting himself watchtowers to try and defend this one, but it's good damage getting done by Squash at the very outset. But when this happens, you got to put pressure back onto your opponent somehow. You can ignore this just a little bit because that's a lot of population over here. You can fight back with your villagers if you want and put some pressure somewhere. As Squash has got 2,000 food in the bank right now. He's got plenty of resources. He doesn't have any trade routes started. He's got this gold mine left over on this position. He's grabbing a market in the corner, trying to take down these stables of Eric. And Eric is maybe overcommitting to the defense over here. And no real resources in the bank. He is spending all his resources though nicely on upgrades. Whereas I imagine Squash only now getting himself Forge of Olympus. He's actually waiting on those upgrades. So we'll see if the timing that that Eric's got on the upgrade advantage is going to be of any use for him in this game here. As we see villagers getting taken down, we've got the Toxotes moving forward here to try and take out some of these units. We've got Curse getting thrown down onto this position to try and get even more damage done to these villages. As the Hippocon, there's not many of them here, but they do have some upgrade advantage in the armory. They might be able to deal with these Hippocon eventually here, as well as the Toxotes are gonna. They do have a great choke point here, but the heavy Hippocon are scary. Champion Hippocon of that are even more scary, as Squash is making his way through this position nicely to take out these units. You see the stable over here getting finished off as Squash is going to secure a gold mine, I'm sure. And now Squash is going to start moving all over the map, having a fantastic time of it. There is the problem of Underworld. However, that problem is mitigated with Ceasefire for the most part. So the real question is, how do you use Underworld when your opponent's got Ceasefire? Well, the answer is you find the weakest point on the map, and you Underworld there, you attack, you force Ceasefire, you spam buildings, and you take control of that position. and then you try and siege it down. So we'll see. That's what's going to happen there. Is Eric is actually forced to cast Ceasefire here, as he's having some issues dealing with the units of Squash. For some reason, I'm not certain as to why that is. As we see some more donkey caravans getting built, these pigs are very much in the way here. We are seeing some Silver Colossus being built, which I do like for Eric. So he is going to be going for some sort of a push here. But again, he needs to have some resources in the bank to spam buildings down on that position. You do see this, the Pegasus is already over here, and Squash doesn't see it. So it's a very sneaky Pegasus, and this is indeed a very, very weak point of the map for Squash. So if we see Eric being able to get in onto this position here and spam buildings in here, make a whole bunch of military academies, and then once the Ceasefire of Squash ends, throw down a fortress and start making Heliopolis to push in, could be very, very tough for Squash to deal with. But right now, Squash is running all over the map. He hasn't yet got himself the Spirited Charge upgrade, which increases the speed of your Hippocon up to 6.05, but he is still getting some good damage done onto Eric's economy here, as Eric is able to hold this position now. He's got the Silver Colossus, the Atlanta and Hippolyta going to town on said Silver Colossus, as it looks like Eric's running for the Tundra Trees here or something to heal him back up. Maybe he could come over here and eat this large gold mine a little bit. We are going to be seeing the Atlanta getting targeted down there, Hippolyta going down. The stable's going to be falling as well, as the villagers turn around, start shanking as best as they can against these Hippocon. But these are champion Hippocon. 217 HP, 15 damage per second. You can't really fight these off. You need to build some Prodromus or something. Go over there. We do see a sneaky Colossus coming onto this town center, but I doubt that Eric's going to be allowing that there. He's already got the Bellerophon queued up in the town center, so that'll pop out soon. We are seeing some Prodromus coming through. One very, very simple way to defend against random Hippocon raids is to just throw a bunch of stables down, build a Prodromus, and they can, even a medium Prodromus would be able to beat a champion Hippocon. So you can defend that way if you so choose, because they're going to be able to outrun and everything else. As we are seeing Eric finding a good amount of push through here, but guess what? Squash is just saying, I don't care. Let me just spam buildings here. Pushing in, making stables all over the place. He's going to be getting himself those militia out of the stables as they do spawn, which is going to help out a ton. We see the Bellerophon popping out through here, and Squash is making a Tyroi in this location here. They don't have the upgrade, which makes them even stronger in Weapons of the Titans, but 4 Hatyroi, 5 Hatyroi, that's actually a lot. But I mean, with the heroes already here, maybe not going to be able to do all too much damage. So you see the stable still staying alive here. The Hoplites going to be moving forward, take out the enemy Hippocon as best as they possibly can here. And we see Eric now going to be throwing up this fortress. He's still holding on to Underworld, which I think is, I mean, now he's looking for it. I think holding on to the Underworld here is a mistake, but Eric's got not enough resources to spam buildings. I'm not sure an Underworld at this point is going to be that useful. We see the Underworld coming through. The Colossus is going to be coming in onto this town center. Ceasefire is going to be cast here most likely by Squash. This location here is going down fairly fast, but there's the Ceasefire. And I think that this Underworld is also maybe slightly in the wrong position here. Put it in this corner here and then go. And he can build a whole bunch of buildings here, but here it's less likely to be successful, I would say. But the Ceasefire does get dropped. The unit's going to be retreating back home. A little bit of relief for Eric now in this game. But we'll see how it's going to go for Eric. We'll see if he's going to find anything. But while this is happening, Squash is doing exactly what Eric should be doing while this Ceasefire is going down. He's taking position on your opponent's weak position over here. Squash, if he comes into this position and builds a bunch of buildings, he's going to have a fantastic time. We see Secrets of the Titans being researched as well for Squash. Thank you so much for the Prime, Elon Musk. Yes! The Twitter overlord. Lol. Okay. And well, with the heroes already over here, these Colossus, not going to do all too much. And Eric doesn't take any advantage with this Underworld at all. He's actually coming over here having to defend the Hatyroi and the Polyphemus that are on this position. The fortified town center has masons, so it's probably not going to go down. But the Squash not only deals with the Colossus fairly easily, but he's still pushing forward with these buildings onto this town center. We see more walls coming up over here to shut down the donkey caravans as well, as that happens through the ceasefire. As Squash, he manages to make what could only be argued as should have been an advantageous move by Eric, and he converts it into an advantageous move for himself by getting in onto his opponent's position here. Incredibly well played so far by Squash, as the town center is going to get saved here. The Hippocon going to come back through. Eric now has basically equalized in a way, and he's going to have to clean up all these buildings here, clean up this location here. But while this is all going on, Squash is going Sieges of the Titans, and Squash has got so many resources in the bank. Look at this: 1,700 food, 1,200 wood, 3,500 gold. Eric, on the other hand, 700, 900, 900. He's struggling to get himself his own Titan at the moment. He's just produced a Colossus as well, and another one is going to be, and something else is getting his Titan now, but he is a full minute behind in production. That is enough time to get the Titan up, but maybe not if your opponent's already in on your position, because he can come in and slow that down very easily. Meanwhile, we're seeing Eric going to push through. But the big problem is that if Eric wants to build the Titan, he has to take villages off of economy, and he's got no economy to spare, whereas Squash has got heaps of economy to spare right now. Not only that, he's got the buildings getting taken down. That's militia going to be coming in to help out and everything else. These militia here have got themselves medium infantry upgrades. Might want to start thinking about getting those extra upgrades for them, but Squash not really focusing on that one there, as the Silver Colossus coming through, trying to take down these stables and everything else. We see the Hippocon coming in onto this position to get some raids onto Eric, as well as the pressure is unrelenting. Meanwhile, Squash getting some defenses over here as well. He's got the towers, he's got the fortress, doing a nice job of that. Unfortunately, one of the weird things for Squash is he hasn't actually protected his trade route very well. I would have thought he would have had the walls up. He does have them up over here, I guess, so he kind of is protected. He's made some effort to do that. But the Titan is now 50% of the way through for Squash, and Eric, he can't even click it. He's got no resources in the bank. If Squash tries to throw the Titan down, he's not going to have any resources to produce units, and the pressure is just mounting over here. The hoplites are doing nicely to clean up everything, but Eric needs villages. He's starting to build some villages. He needs 80 villages very much right now in order to build this Titan gate. He's going to start throwing it down. Squash is at 77%, so the Titan is basically out by the time Eric has started his Titan. So he might be able to just wander right over here and just start smashing the ground and preventing this one from going up. Now, there is a world where Zeus can hold against a Titan, where Greek can hold against a Titan. You have Heliopoli, you have your heroes, you chase them around. It's 20 population in the Titan, you chase it around, you can kind of just defend. But we'll see if it's going to be enough for Eric at all, because Squash gets his Titan out, and it's a slow boy, 3.75 speed. You can kind of speed walk him a little bit if you want, grab a Hippocon and drag the Titan across the map a little bit faster in order to get to your opponent's base just that little bit faster. But we'll see if this is going to be doable here for Squash. Squash actually making Hypaspis as well. This is genius. Very rarely do you see Hypaspis at this point in the game, but Eric's Hoplite are not going to be happy with dealing with those, as the Bellerophon flies in here to start taking down these Hippocon nicely as well. Thank you for the 10 months, Z-Dub. Appreciate you, my friend. And he's so slow. We're already at 30%. So I reckon the Titan will probably be able to get over here by about 60%. The question is whether or not Eric can path block nice enough, or if Squash just wants to say, all right, get your Titan out. I don't mind. We'll trade Titan for Titan as the option here. As it looks like Squash is he's taking down the archery range, so it looks like he's not too concerned with his opponent's Titan here. As he takes that one down, we see the Bellerophon coming in here, but the units of Squash are already going to come in and take this one down. The Titan really doesn't do lots of damage to the Bellerophon at all. And now 50% of the way through for Eric, as this town center will indeed be falling here on this position incredibly fast, especially with the help of that Heliopoli. Heliopolis, I should say, but Eric's now coming through with his own Heliopolis to get a little bit of damage done to the Titan. A little bit of an advantage now for Eric in the potential upcoming Titan fight. So we see more buildings going to be getting torn down right now by Squash. And maybe this wasn't the best idea. He's going to allow Eric to get his Titan out. And we do see, while this is going on, a huge raid coming through by Eric to take this town center down. Completely missed that one. So too, it seems, did Squash. Missed this one, as Eric is making a very, very strong push here to prevent Squash from doing anything while your opponent's got 20 population over here. You've lost 20 population over here. So absolutely brutal. We're going to be seeing an attempt by Squash to grab this town center for himself right now. But while this is going on, Squash, his second town center is now under attack. The villagers will be able to deal with this Heliopoli. There is the Theseus over here, but there's 4 hoplites on this position dealing 25.2 damage, 25.6 damage, I should say, a second onto this town center. And the town center's got 50% hack armor, so it's going down pretty fast, but it looks like the Theseus will defend this position. This town center going to be getting thrown back up very, very fast. And the Titan is out for Eric. Eric's at 150 of 140 population. His Titan jumps up, slams the ground. And now a Titan fight will inevitably be ensuing here, it seems. And the question is going to be, will Squash... excuse me. Will Squash win this Titan fight? Or lose this Titan fight with enough or not? It's a bit of a smash there. The Titan actually does tons of damage to human units. So if you can actually use your Titan on human units, you get max value here. As the Titan for Eric's going to be moving in here. We've already got 2 Heliopoli and a Hippolyta out here. As the Titan going to jump up into the ground, and a huge advantage starting right now for Eric. He gets 3 hits off, 5,500 HP. For Squash's Titan to 7,000 HP for Eric's Titan. Absolutely gigantic advantage here for Eric as he's making it work. He does pull back, going to be running into his towers. He uses his Heliopoli to get a little bit of damage done. We see the Titan going to be starting to hit the ground here. This micro from Squash is going to have to be very, very on point here if he's going to be able to come in here and take this win here. As the Titan moves in, as the Titans start bashing each other down, and we've got 2 Heliopoli for Squash, 3 Heliopoli for Squash versus 0 Heliopoli for Eric in this position. So that advantage might go the wayside of Squash as this fight is going to continue. As we see more Colossus coming in, they will be very, very useful to be used on Squash's Titan. 2,100 HP, 1,600 HP. It's going to be a slight victory for Eric, it would seem here, but the Heliopoli are going to be able to do enough damage to take down Squash's Titan, or Eric's Titan in the end. Eric's got 170 or 150 HP remaining. Well, Squash actually wins that fight somehow. I thought that was Eric's Titan. Squash wins that fight with 159 HP remaining. Well done. As the Titan for Squash is going to get taken down very slowly here, or inevitably, but honestly, at this point, it'd probably be better for Squash to have a unit not named Titan and 20 more population instead. As more towers coming up on this position, as it looks like Squash is inevitably going to be able to hold onto this spot. Is Eric making any effort to take out this town center? It'd be well worth it to go for it. If you can. You see a couple of Heliopoli coming through here. The Polyphemus coming in onto this position, and the towers seemingly up. We see Eric getting up some fortress for himself, but the Heliopoli are already going to town on this one. Squash has got the extra 20 population right now, so he's using it incredibly well to push through here, and Squash has got he's got some resources in the bank. Let's just say that much. And in that moment, Eric does decide that it's time to tap out. GG, well played by Eric and by Squash. Very well played by Squash. Effectively, nigh perfect early game play by Squash. Gets the town center up with losing only 1 villager. Gets his 3rd town center up. Gets a pretty good heroic age timing. I would have liked to see, the only thing I would have liked to see here from Eric as an actual game plan is... the first, I mean, if you control the Centaur better, yes, that would have been better. But the actual game plan here for Zeus needs to be Underworld plan. The plan for Zeus is to hit an Underworld and get set up on your opponent's back town center while being set up on your opponent's forward town center. That's what you want to do. That's where you want to take the map control that you get. And if you can do that, then you get the best chance of taking Poseidon down. That is when you go for the centaur strategy. I also want to see sometimes Zeus players making the option say, well, maybe we can make gold staff work with Hera. I want to see that at least attempted just a little bit, because I feel like it could be a way in which Zeus players can find a serious advantage in this matchup where they're not really going for it very often. Anyways, if you guys enjoyed this game, thank you so much for watching it, and think about maybe hitting the follow button on the Twitch. If you're on the YouTube, hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you guys in the next game.